With there being 89 playable characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, every character is bound to be somebody's favorite. My favorite is Sephiroth. There are, however, some characters that I hate. And these are my top 5 most hated characters. Number 5, Steve. You might be shocked not to see Steve higher up, but let me explain. First off, I'm in Sephiroth, so I actually have a pretty decent matchup against the character. And because of that, I don't really mind fighting Steve. Offline, that is. Fighting Steve online feels like you're constantly being execution checked. Oh, your roll came out 1 frame too late? Well, that's too bad. Here's an up tilt that leads to a quick 60%. I, for one, don't think we should ban Steve, even if he is the best character in the game. But I can't help but feel like the long-lasting debate about banning the character or not has led to me disliking the character more as a result. Steve hasn't exactly had a positive impact on my viewer experience. Watching Steve's build a wall and mind behind it gets stale pretty quickly. While nil combos can be pretty cool, even those are starting to get a little bit boring. The best tournament to watch recently was the Throne 2, and that tournament decided specifically not to invite Akala despite his high rank. I know the same applies to Sonics and Mia, but as a result, it ended up being one of the hypest tournaments as of late. Number 4, Mii Gunner. This character has some of the most brain-dead ledge trapping in the game. Specifically, the grenade launch neutral B is what does it for me. This move alone shuts down certain recoveries. And as if that wasn't already bad enough, it's plus enough on shield so that you can grab them while they're still in shield stun. It also doesn't help that I dislike the Miis in general. Not because of their customizable movesets or anything, but because I feel like they lack personality, as they don't really draw inspiration from their own game titles. It would be a little different if they drew inspiration from like Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort, but as it stands, the moves are kind of like Temu rip-offs of other fighters' moves. And for that reason, this is probably the most boring character in the entire game for me. Number 3, Lil Mac. While he's not considered a good character by any means, that honestly just makes me dislike him more. Personally, I prefer to play against stronger characters because not only do I most likely have more experience against these characters, but I also find that stronger characters usually represent more about what I like about the game than the lower tier characters do. While Lil Mac is a pretty unique character, having by far the worst aerials in the entire game, and having a pretty strong ground game to make up for it, I just feel like that narrows down the possible playstyles with the character, and that makes it less interesting to me. The combination of his armor on his smashes and the fact that his biggest weakness is getting edgeguarded makes it feel like it's more on his opponent to make sure that Lil Mac loses than it is on the Lil Mac player to make sure they win. And I'm never a fan of that. KO Punch is painful to deal with, and a lot of players will straight up resort to platform camping to deal with it. And when the best counterplay is to just not interact, it's not very interesting. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing him cut from the roster entirely in the next Smash game. Number 2, Lucario. Lucario. Why? Aura. Rage as a mechanic is already pretty questionable, but Lucario's aura takes it to the next level. Imagine you're winning against Lucario for a straight minute, just for Lucario to hit you 4 times and take your stock. Doesn't feel great. It would be understandable if the aura went away when you took the stock, but of course, he gets aura from being behind in stocks as well. Because of this, it feels like you're actively being punished for making the right decisions in the game, more than any other comeback mechanic makes it feel like. When I watch Lucario in tournament, I can't help but root against him, and I hardly ever feel like the wins they get are truly deserved. Honorable mentions. First off, Min Min. While I do find Min Min a little annoying to fight, I don't think I can justify putting her on this list. Her long reach can be frustrating at times and make it feel like she's playing a single player game, but I actually think the character can be pretty cool sometimes, especially if the Min Min actually goes off stage in order to edgeguard. So while it might shock you that I genuinely enjoy watching good Min Mins, I think this kind of saves the character for me. Game & Watch. This 2-dimensional menace has been the source of a lot of pain for several players. With a frame 3 up B leading into one of the strongest advantage states in the entire game, this character is a menace to fight against. Luckily, he's as light as a feather and usually loses his stocks quite early due to this. And now for my number 1 most hated character. Number 1. Luigi. If you've never seen one of your favorite top players lose a set because they got comboed by Luigi at 0, I envy you. I know Luigi hate has been on the rise recently, but you have to understand that this is nothing new to me. I've hated Luigi since the start of Smash 4, and I still hate him to this very day. The fact that he has a 0 to death off of grab doesn't feel real. After the release of Ultimate, Luigi mains quickly found a 0 to death off of grab, and Nintendo patched it out. After that, Luigi mains found another 0 to death off of grab, and Nintendo didn't patch it out for some reason. Just the fact that they patched it out the first time really makes it feel like they don't think it should be in the game, and yet it's still here. I can already see the comments saying, oh, but just don't get grabbed by Luigi, man. But Luigi's grab has a surprising lack of end lag, making it fairly hard to punish. And another counterpoint to that argument, Luigi mains have started doing super deaths off of other moves than just grab. You can legitimately die against this character for getting hit by forward at 0. Not only does he have a ridiculous combo game because of his frame data, but he also has Cyclone. This move alone is frustrating enough to play against no matter what character you're playing. If your combo is just one frame off of being true, Luigi can mash out of it with Cyclone and counterattack you due to Cyclone being invincible on frame 1. To top it off, it also has a bunch of win boxes that move you around while you're trying to space around the move, which is super annoying. As if all of it wasn't enough, they also gave him a frame 4 dash attack that just kills. Ultimate made a lot of joke moves surprisingly good, and Luigi dash attack is one of them. And then we move on to his weakness, his recovery. I can appreciate the fact that they gave him an actual weakness, considering how ridiculous he is on stage. But the amount of times I've seen edgeguard attempts backfire just because Luigi gets lucky and get a misfire is not something I really want to talk about. The fact that you're putting yourself at risk to losing to RNG just for edgeguarding the character you're supposed to edgeguard? It just doesn't make sense. And there you have it. That's my top 5 most hated characters. If you also hate Luigi, I think you should go ahead and subscribe to join a fellow Luigi hater. Thank you.